For me, it's a very interesting fight because a lot of fans want this fight. A lot of people want this fight, and for me, it's a very big challenge for me.
With a big fight coming up this weekend between Guillermo Rigondeaux and Vasyl Lomachenko, we thought we would give you guys a quick update on the tail of the tape to see exactly how these two master boxers will match up. Starting off with Vasyl Lomachenko, he is coming to the end of his 4th year as a pro that has seen him fight just 10 times, with 9 wins and 1 loss. His defeat coming to Orlando Solido in early 2014. It was a tight and scrappy affair, but I think it's fair to say Lomachenko has certainly improved a lot since then. Vasyl is currently 29 years old and is native to Bilorod-Dnestrovsky, Ukraine. It's here where he honed his masterful boxing skills under father and coach Anatoly, who is undoubtedly one of the best trainers in world boxing at the current date. Lomachenko stands in the range of 5'6" and is actively fighting in the super featherweight division after becoming champion at the 126-pound limit after beating Gary Russell Jr., and then moving up to 130 and defeating Roman Martinez for the WBO title in mid-2016. Challenger Guillermo Rigondeaux will step into the ring with a perfect 17-0 undefeated record accompanied by 11 jaw-shattering knockouts.
And that has resulted in a broken jaw.
Quite a significant age gap here as Rigo is currently 37 years old. But as always, he's kept himself in the superb condition of a man 10 years his prior. Guillermo is from the dangerous school of Cuban boxing, which is undoubtedly the most technically gifted nation in the current amateur boxing circuit. Another key factor here will be the significant 8-pound weight jump for Rigo, as he has been competing at the 122-pound bantamweight limit for his entire career. But with Lomachenko being the A side of negotiations, he has little to no say in what weight they'd compete at. A quick weigh-up on the pros and cons. The professional fight experience lies with Guillermo, but you can argue Lomachenko has been fighting at a more consistent, higher level. The 8-year age gap is certainly something you have to pay close attention to. Regardless of Rigo's condition, Father Time is undefeated, and Lomachenko is currently in his true prime. They are both schooled extremely well. As I'm sure many of you are aware, these two are both double Olympic gold medalists for their respected nations, and this will be the first time in boxing history we'll see 2 men with those accolades compete in a professional ring. And finally, the weight differentiation between the two is a negative for Rigo, but it wouldn't be the first time a fighter from 122 has moved up to 130 and won a big fight, so I guess only time will tell to see how Rigo's body reacts. A rather rare occasion, we'll be seeing 2 southpaw fighters meet in the ring.
It's interesting seeing 2 southpaws fight each other because it's a little awkward because they're used to always fighting right-handers, so it's a little uncomfortable for them.
You can literally count the times this has happened in a super fight on 2 hands over the last 20 or so years. Some of the more notable ones include Nassim Hamed versus Kevin Kelly, Michael Nunn versus Frankie Lyles, Pernell Whitaker versus Julio Cesar Vasquez, and more recently, Eris Landry Lara versus Austin Trout, Manny Pacquiao versus David Diaz, and the unforgettable Sergio Martinez versus Paul Williams. Interestingly enough, Rigondeaux has already faced 4 southpaw fighters in his pro career, getting mixed results each time. He stopped 3 of them in the first 2 rounds, but had an awkward decision over Ricardo Cordoba in one of them, even getting knocked down in the process.
As a professional, it's very important.
Rigondeaux's knee hit the canvas.
That's a knockdown.
And it's going to be called a knockdown.
Lomachenko has beaten 1 southpaw so far in Gary Russell Jr. in his 3rd professional fight. I think this was a good performance from Vasyl overall, and the stance never really played a part in decreasing his performance. You will notice that most of the pre-mentioned southpaw matchups have actually made for great spectacles. It's weird to get used to at first, but once they settle down, the fists will start doing the talking. The power matchup is a no contest in all honesty. As Rigo has aged, he's relied much less on his jab and foot movement while focusing a large amount of his game on his straight left hand.
And scores a knockdown.
This is one of the best punches in boxing today and has managed to break more jaws than any other active boxer could dream of.
And that has resulted in a broken jaw.
In Lomachenko's defense, he is the naturally bigger man, but is not known for his one-punch power. Then again, we all saw Martinez's face on the canvas after Vasyl clipped him with that brutal right hand.
Well, that was pretty explosive. Over. What a right hook.
To me, Vasyl is at the age where he is still learning more and has the ability and youth in his legs to be able to try new tricks without focusing too much on power like Rigondeaux. But even with the weight disadvantage, if you were to put these two on a punch machine challenge, I know where my money's going. Speed can be measured in a bunch of different ways, but the basic foot and hand speed is a definite +1 for Vasyl Lomachenko. We've all seen the Matrix videos on YouTube. Vasyl constantly trains, not just his body, but his mind exclusively on reflex and timing. It's a beautiful thing that has seen him improve leaps and bounds over the last 2 years of his professional career.
And more patient, and he seems to be getting better if that's possible.
Back in his younger days, Rigondeaux had the perfect combination of speed and power.
Because Rigondeaux, for me, has been one of the best boxers of the tournament.
And that's why he's conceding a fair bit in terms of height and reach, but his hand speed and his determination, he has a little bundle of muscle. Look at that shot.
Looking back at that, it's impossible to argue he hasn't declined in the hand speed department and also with the foot speed. When he was in the Olympics, I can honestly say I've never seen a boxer with such fluency in the legs while using it not to evade or showboat, but simply to find that perfect angle for his left hand.
Ramos is in trouble. He's down.
While Rigo still has great hand speed today, Lomachenko is one of the fastest boxers in the world, and this is certainly to his advantage. When people talk about the great defensive boxers of the modern era, these two are likely to roll off the tongue in quick succession, and for good reason. An interesting study released from the punch counting system CompuBox in 2016 showed Lomachenko and Rigondeaux to actually hold the number 1 and 2 slot in the world for punch percentage landed on them. Vasyl was 16.1% and Rigo was 16.8%. It also has to be noted, they released the same information for only power punches connected, which saw Guillermo rank significantly higher with 19.9% as opposed to Loma's 22.7%. To be honest, those numbers make a lot of sense to me, considering Lomachenko is a much more offensively active fighter compared to Rigo, as the stats also showed he landed an average of 10 punches more per round than him. Since these studies were released, Lomachenko has fought 3 more times, and I think he's been hit a little more in those fights than the previous ones, so I think Rigo would be leading those charts as of today.
I also love the most highly skilled technicians, even if they're not scoring knockouts. And it does not come more highly skilled than Guillermo Rigondeaux.
We get high.
Looking back over some of the key points from the tale of the tape and skill sets breakdown, most things lean towards Lomachenko's victory, and to be honest, I'm inclined to agree with it. Rigo is one of my favorite boxers today. I've even had the pleasure of meeting him and his family in person, and I can tell you he's a very focused and pleasant guy. But I won't let that sway my prediction. The way Lomachenko feints and shifts his body during fights will, in my opinion, play a key role in earning a decision or possible late TKO. Rigo will always have the power to end a fight, but Lomachenko has never been knocked out in over 400 fights as an amateur and pro, so you would have to assume he'll be able to see the final bell against a much smaller than usual opponent. I will be reading and responding to a bunch of your comments and questions below, so if there's anything you think I missed, feel free to let me know. Until next time, fight fans, this is Boxing Legends TV, signing off.